What is up, guys? EvilDousArm here today, and today I have for you part 2 of our new little series on the channel where we're going to be showing you how to make a 2D side-scrolling game. So what we're going to do in this part is change the character that comes with the side-scroller template into our character that we selected in part 1, and go ahead and change the animations and add in a jump animation. We're going to do this with sort of a little variable switching trick in the current blueprint that's already there. Ultimately, we're going to create a sort of animation state machine, so this is sort of just a band-aid to get us prototyping and so we can go ahead and run around with our character. That being said, let's get started. So the first things first is you're going to want to sort of set up an organizational system for your project. What I like to do is hit this button right here that's going to show the source panel. Clicking on this little box is going to bring up a little drop down of all the different folders in your project. So what you're going to do is click the content one, and I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this character. So this is going to be our main character, our playable character. We're going to go ahead and do all the animating in this. Because we're going to be doing all of our work on the character in that new folder, we're going to need to move the character that comes with the template into that new folder. So to get to that menu, you're going to need to go to 2D Side Scroller BP, which is right here. Click that, you're going to click on Blueprints over to here, and you're going to see a 2D Side Scroller character. Just click that and drag it into our new character folder, and we're going to move it there. So our new character is now in there, our character is right here. And what you're going to want to do at this point is make sure you hit save. So what you're going to do is save all, Control S, make sure you save everything. So in this character folder that we went ahead and created, we're going to go ahead and add a few more folders. The first folder is going to be called Animations. We're going to go ahead and click New Folder and type in Animations. Inside of this folder, we're going to have two separate folders. We're going to have Sprites, so a new folder called Sprites, and a new folder called Animation Flipbooks, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to call it Flipbooks. So what we're going to do with these two folders is basically generate our animations. So the first animation we're going to do is the idle animation for our character that we went ahead and downloaded. So to do that, you're going to head into the sprites folder. Inside of the sprites folder, you're going to create the different animations that we're going to be doing. So the first one, like I said, we're going to do is the idle animation. So we'll create the idle animation folder inside of it, double click that to go into it. The nice thing about Unreal Engine 4 is that you can just drag and drop files. So what you're going to want to do is navigate to the source folder we created in the first part of the video. So once again, if you're in the same place as me, it's going to be in your Unreal Engine 4 folder, whatever you named your file, source like I created before, and then these are the character animations, they are the PNGs, and we have all of these PNGs here. So if you're using a different animation or if you're going to make your own animations, always make sure that they end with numbers like this. So you see how it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What Unreal Engine is going to do is it's going to compile those all into one little flipbook animation that it's going to go ahead and generate the full-on animation from. So by putting them in numerical order, it keeps track of it for the engine, and it can go ahead and make it and save yourself a lot of time with doing it manually. So because we are doing the idle animation, you're going to go scroll through this file and look for the idle animations. They're all right here. It's idle 0 through 9. Shift click to select them all, drag them over into the project. You're going to have to wait till that little plus sign pops up. Once that plus sign pops up, you can go ahead and drop them in just like that. So our idle animations have all been placed in there. So what we're going to want to do at this point is save everything. I cannot stress enough saving everything as you work through Unreal Engine 4. So to save everything, it's Control-Shift-S, and that saves all assets in the folder. So now that we have all of our pictures into this file here, into this idle sprites animation folder, what we're going to need to do is extract the sprites from all of these. So what you're going to want to do, once again, is shift click, select everything, right click, click Sprite Actions, and then click Extract Sprites. That's going to go ahead and create all these little sprites from the animations that you already hit here, and hit extract on all of these as they go through. So we've gone ahead and mashed through the extract button, and now you can see we have all these different little sprites here. Once again, Control Shift, save everything. So after we have all of the sprites selected, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and create a flipbook, an animation flipbook. So to do that, you're going to right click inside of the folder, you're going to hit animation in this little folder menu here, and at the very bottom you will see a tab that says paper flipbook. If you go ahead and click on that, you're going to have a new paper flipbook. We're going to call that idle. So we have our paper flipbook here, double click that to open it up, and we need to add some elements into this array for inserting our animations. So to do this, you see this little array elements button right here, it's under keyframes. There are 10 of them, there's 0 through 9 of our animations, so that's a total of 10. So we're going to need to add 10 different members here, or 0 through 9. Everything starts at 0. So 0 through 9, we've got all of our little keyframes loaded up and in here. So the nice thing about Unreal Engine 4 is that we can just go ahead and drag in all of those different animations. So what we're going to do is split our screen, drop this over to this side, split our Unreal Engine 4 over onto this side, and drag in each of our little keyframes that we created. So obviously our first one is going to be Sprite 0. So what we do is we click it and we drag it into this box. Alright, our first animation is there. Now we go ahead and drop down, click on our 1, animation 1, drop it in. Next, option 2, drop option 2 in. Same thing going right along the line until you have all the animations dropped in. And finally option 9, we're going to go ahead and drop that one in. Return this back to full screen, return this back to full screen, and if we zoom out, we now see that our little guy is sort of twitching around doing a little animation of idle animation. So from this point, we can go ahead and tweak the animation a little bit to try and get it a little smoother. So one of the easiest ways to do this is just to go ahead and edit the frames per second to see how fast you can make a move or how slow. I'm going to try and set it to 12. I think 12 frames per second seems like a decent idle speed. Actually, 15 was probably a bit better. But anyway, this is how you do it. Once again, you're just going to go ahead and make this little idle animation like that. After we've done that, we're going to go ahead and click Save. Close this out, and we now have our idle animation. So what we're going to do is go ahead and copy this into the flipbooks folder that we made. So once again, just click Idle, drag it over to the flipbooks folder that we created earlier in the video. Move it here. Okay, so now we have our flipbook idle animation. Same thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into the sprites folder where we have that idle folder originally. We're going to right click, new folder, and we're going to add in a run folder. Once again, same exact thing, open up our run folder. We're going to go back to our file explorer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create the run animation. So the same exact thing we just did. We're going to navigate back to that source folder that we created in our first part of our video series. And we're going to go ahead and look for the run animation. So as you can see, they are right here. And there are a total, once again, of 10 of them. So once again, just click and then shift click to get all 10 of them. Click them, drag them into the browser down here, wait for the little plus to pop up, and drop the animations in. Then we're going to go ahead and shift click to select all these pictures, right click on them, sprite actions, and then we're going to hit create sprite. So this is the alternate way to do it compared to what I just showed you. So this is actually the faster and the easier way to go ahead and do this. Now that we have all of these selected just like this, so just let it keep it all selected, right click them on again and then hit create flipbook, and it's going to go ahead and create actually one flipbook from all of these, so you don't have to do any of that editing manually that you had to do before. It's going to save it as run because that's the folder we're in, and if we go ahead and double click on it, we got our folder instantly, or our file instantly, with this run animation. Super easy, much easier than the other way I just showed you. Just wanted to make sure you know both ways to go ahead and do this. So once again, just to run through all of that again so you know what we're doing, I'm just going to delete everything and run it all the way back from the start. So once again, go back to our file with all of our run animations, select all of those run animations, click them and drag them into the browser down here below, wait for the little plus to pop up. Once they're all in there and they're all selected, you're going to right click them, you're going to hit sprite actions, create sprite. That's going to create all of our sprites that we have right here. Click on one of the sprites, or right click rather, create flipbook, and it's going to create that run flipbook for you. Don't have to do anything, super simple. Control Shift S to save everything, drag the run flipbook over into the flipbooks folder. Move here. Alright, so in our flipbooks folder we now have an idle and we have a run. So what we're going to do now is apply those animations to our character that's already in the game. So to do that, we're going to head over to the character folder that we were in. We're going to go to our 2D side scroller character that we copied at the start. So this 2D side scroller character has two animation flipbooks right here at the top. So if you go to the animation tab, and to move around this, you just like right click and you can drag it around however you want. So navigate to the section that says handles animation. When you're up here, you're going to see that there are two flipbooks selected here. There's a false that says idle animation, and there's a true that says running animation. From there, you're going to click the little drop down menu and you'll have all of your options that you can pick from this thing. So for the idle animation, the top option, we're going to go ahead and pick the idle flipbook that we made. For the running animation, same thing, we're going to pick the run paper flipbook. Make sure you hit compile and save that to save these changes. Now from here, you're going to want to head over to the viewport, and if this is where it dropped you originally, to get over to that menu I was just looking at, you need to click Event Graph. So Event Graph will take you to this menu. So in the viewport, we're going to go ahead and click on our pawn right here. So it's a sprite is what it's called, and to do that, once again, all I had to do was just click on him, like literally just left click on him, and it brings up all of these options on the right side over here. Now on the right side, what you're going to see is you're going to see the sprite, and it says Source Flipbook Idle Animation. Same exact thing we just did. We're going to pick our idle animation that we already picked, and that is going to add the idle animation for our character right here. Same thing, compile, save. Okay, to get out of this menu, you can just close it, you can minimize it, you can do whatever you want. So as you can see, our character is way bigger than the previous character. He's kind of glitching through the floor here. So what we're going to need to do is go ahead and shrink him down. So once again, we're going to hop back into the 2D side scroller menu that we created before. Hop over into the viewport to see the character if you're not already in it. Click on him, and then what you're going to see over here is a scale option underneath a transform menu. So under the scale option, what you got to do is go ahead and click any one of these. Make sure you click the little lock button over here on the right to make it so they change them all at the same time. Otherwise, you'll have to do each one individually. And we're going to set this to 0.44. So basically, it's just going to shrink our character down, and he fits perfectly inside of that little capsule. So as you can see, his feet are right along the bottom of the capsule. Once again, just to move around in these menus or these areas, you just hold down right mouse button and then press WASD to move. So we've got our character all scaled up and set up to the right size. So just hit compile, save up at the top left corner, and close this out. Now you can see in our little game world, the character is the exact same size as the previous character. He fits perfectly, feet are on the ground, and if we go ahead and click play, you will see he walks around, runs around, does all the different things, or the same exact things our previous character had done. and it basically is our character now. So we've gone ahead and switched the character out. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a jumping animation, because as you can see, when you jump, he kind of just swings his legs around and doesn't really do much of a jumping animation. So we're going to create the jump animation the exact same way that we created this running and idle animation. So hit escape to hop out of the previewer right there. What we're going to do is head back into our character folder that we created. We're going to go back to the animations, we're going to go back to the sprites tab, and we're going to create a new folder called jump. So we've got our jump folder and the exact same thing, the exact same process we've already done. Head back into our PNG folder inside of our character folder, inside of our source folder that we created earlier to get back to all of these, and look for the jump animations. So as you can see, we have another 10 jump animations. If we just go ahead and click on them, shift click, drag them over into the browser, same exact thing we've been doing, drops the jump animations in, right click on the jump animations, sprite actions, create sprites, right click on the sprites, create flipbook, call it jump, fantastic, control shift S to save everything, and we now have our jump animation put together. So once again, drag the jump animation over to the flipbooks and head back over into the character menu. So in the character menu, go ahead and click the 2D side scroller character that we created earlier, that we moved over earlier, and we're going to go ahead and look at this animation tab. So in the animation tab, we only have two possible options here, and this is the part that I was saying at the beginning. We're going to ultimately do this a bit better, but for now, to make the character run around and jump and to prototype the game, we're going to do it this way. So what we need to do is we need to add a clause for when the character is jumping. And the easiest way to do that in Unreal Engine is to add an isFalling variable. So if you right click, it's going to bring up this menu that lets you type in different things. So in this menu, you're going to type in isFalling. So what this is doing is basically it's looking to the character and seeing if they are in the air currently, if they're jumping, if they're in the air. It's a variable built into the system. So just go ahead and click that, and it's going to go to the character movement and find out if the character is falling. So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to branch. So if you right click and you type in branch, it's going to give you the option of a branch node. So what we're going to do for this node is plug in the isFalling into the branch node, and we're going to go ahead and drag this line. So to drag this line, all you got to do is hold down Control, click on the little node at the end over here of the set flipbook, and drag it to branch. So in the branch tab over here, and I'll zoom in so it's a little easier to read, we have two options here. We have a true and a false. So basically what this is saying is, so we're going to update our animation. Update animation. Okay, what are we doing? Is the character falling? Basically, is your character jumping right now? If your character is jumping, what do you want to do? Well, what we want to do is we want to set the flipbook. So if we go ahead and right click and type set flipbook, if we type set flipbook sprite, it's going to pop in the exact same node that we have right here, and we can go ahead and drop that in there. So if we're falling, are we falling? Yes. So drag the true into that. Then what we want to do is we want to set our new flipbook to the jump animation. So now what's going to happen is every time the animation tick is called, which is down here, and I'll explain it later when we get to that part, but basically every time we update our animation, we're going to check to see if we're falling. If we're falling, we're going to set it to the jump animation. If we aren't falling, we're going to set it back to what it was before, so either walking or running. So we've got that set up, walk, run, jump, they should all be in there, so we're going to hit compile, save. So if we go ahead and close this out and hop back into the character, click on play, and we can go ahead and check this out. So what's going to happen is we walk, we stand, and when we jump, we do the jump animation, which is pretty cool. So now if we just jump, you'll see we do the jump animation whenever we jump. If we run and jump, we do the jump animation like that, and then it transitions smoothly as soon as you land. And even when you're falling down little ledges like this, it's perfect. It looks beautiful. All the animations are handled, and our character can go ahead and run around and play in the game. So anyway, guys, that is everything I want to cover in this video. We've got our character walking around, he runs, he jumps, he does all sorts of different animations. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to add in some more animations. So we're going to add in the throwing animations, the gliding animations, the sliding animations, and the different controls that go along with it. So we'll show you how to map different controls in this system and basically make it so your character becomes a fully playable protagonist character that you can go ahead and build the rest of the story off of. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe so you stay updated on the series, and I will see you at the next video, next part of the series, wherever I happen to see you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.